So I was gritty, like I was making things happen in Chamber of Commerce. Um, I survived off Chamber of Commerce for a while there. I didn't have any startup capital, bootstrap the whole thing. I would go to Chamber of Commerce, I'd pay for the lunch and learns. It was like, $20 or whatever, $10. And I would wait till everybody left and I would pack home the extra leftovers or the 4 or 5 boxes of
Yeah.
food. And that's what I would eat for the next couple of days, just
That's puts a new meaning into you were hungry, literally,
yeah.
in business and health and life. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I opened up a questionable box and was like sniffing it and going, should I? If I heat it up hot enough, it'll kill anything, like microwave 10 minutes.
Hello and welcome to Small Business Pivots. I'm your host, Michael Morrison, a small business coach who helps guide small businesses from struggle to success. Go to michaeldmorrison.com to learn more. On our podcast, we explore the pivots that small business owners have made to build successful businesses doing $1 million and more in annual revenue. Our guest today is Reef Colman. Reef stands as an inspiring leader, epitomizing innovation and impact through his role as the CEO and founder of WeAssist.io. Starting from humble origins, Reef's journey is a testament to his extraordinary mission of effecting positive change across borders and industries. His brainchild, WeAssist.io, is revolutionizing business and empowerment by offering efficient, reliable outsourcing services that pave the way for a more interconnected and sustainable future. Reef's distinctiveness lies in his unwavering commitment to a global vision. His strategic leadership not only steers his team and partners towards a shared objective, but also envisions a future abundant with opportunities for making a meaningful difference. Beyond the business realm, WeAssist.io's mission extends to nourishing communities worldwide, redefining success by the lives touched and uplifted. Reef's journey from his early days to his transformative role in reshaping the outsourcing landscape is a testament to the leader he has become today. Let's get to our guest now and learn the pivots he made to build a successful business from the ground floor. All right, welcome to another Small Business Pivots. We have a very special guest from a very special place in the world. He's been showing me some beautiful views from where he's at. Reef Colman, how are you today?
Doing good. Thanks for having me, Michael. How are you?
Absolutely. So what part of this beautiful world are you coming to us from?
Currently, San Juan del Sur, Nicaragua, which is pretty rad, I guess we could say, right? I live predominantly in Scottsdale, Arizona, so I'm there most of the time. That's where I call home. Just moved there a year ago. San Diego was home before that for 5 years, and Los Angeles almost all my life. Moved to Los Angeles from Uruguay, South America, when I was like 4 or 5 years old. My mom smuggled us up. So, in a pretty cool spot right now. Here, I'll show you.
Yeah, show us a view. I saw it earlier. This is beautiful, listeners. For those that are only listening, I'm sorry you don't get to see this.
There's the
That is awesome.
a fun little spot. Yeah, great. It's awesome. It's just like a moving picture to watch that ocean go over and over again. And I'm huge on nature. Like I got to howl with the monkeys a few days ago, with the howler monkeys here in the jungle. And you'll see dragonflies come up every so often. And then you'll see little sparrows like picking the dragonflies out of the air. Dragonflies are like this big, mind you. They're huge. And then you'll also see like the eagles, like, or whatever they are, hawks, come out and pull like the sparrows right out of the air, which is wild to watch. Like it's literally like watching Nat Geo out the window here. It's pretty crazy.
For those that are only listening, he is in a bay overlooking the ocean up high on a hill. Beautiful, beautiful scenery with some lounge chairs and a little pool and everything. So I always like to get a little information on where our guests are coming from, because not all of us get to travel around the world. And so this might be another hotspot somebody wants to go. I never knew that there were beautiful places like that where you're at. So thanks for sharing, and I appreciate your time today. We are talking to small business owners. So I know as small business owners, most of us, we get stuck somewhere in our journey of
Mhm.
entrepreneurship. And that could be at 200,000, that could be at 1 million, 5 million, whatever it is, but we just kind of run out of bandwidth. So the purpose is to help small business owners get unstuck
Yeah.
and talk to guests that have done that and more, and learn some pivots you made along the way. So how did your journey in life get started?
Oh, wow. Thank you. First off, I appreciate what you're doing here because that small business is where I started. My heart's huge on SMBs. I think they're the backbone of um, our economy. I believe that SMBs are make the world go round. If it wasn't for small business owners, none of us would really survive, or we wouldn't be as good of a community as we are. I think entrepreneurship is what makes people so great. It's one of the only tribes or cultures or groups of people that get together and they say, I'm going to better myself, and I'm going to better myself because I know it's a reflection of how my company will be. And most people don't go down that hard journey of looking self in the mirror. They're very okay with being complacent or just whatever. It's a big fan of entrepreneurship. It really makes it, I think, a higher caliber, a higher level person, which I absolutely love. Um,
Awesome.
so along those lines, my pivots, yeah, I actually started helping entrepreneurs. So when I first started was Jersey Mike's as a marketing director. I figured out in Jersey Mike's to help out launch Jersey Mike's. They asked me to fix their grand opening campaigns because they were -20, -40,000 a grand opening. And I thought, this kind of sucks. What can we do better? And my mentor at the time, Alvaro Garcia, who does like 4.2 million a month, he's a beast, one of the largest franchisors in the US, was like, Reef, like, I need you to help me. How do we do this? And the way that they used to do grand openings was through a little card. You donated $1 and you got a free sandwich. And then it was their way of like, practicing the chefs the first 7 to 11 days, practicing in the kitchen. And they would flood the store with these $1 cards, and every dollar went back to a nonprofit, and people got sandwiches essentially for free, which was awesome. Great PR. But in the business world, a business owner had to go in with 100,000 liquid asset because otherwise they'd be hurt as an SMB or small,
Right.
medium, or
Yeah.
small size business, taking out a $500,000 loan and then 100,000 liquid asset is not easy. That's like some people's life work, to put into a business. So he said, let's fix this. It needs to be positive somehow. So I started there, and that's kind of where my journey started of helping people. I've always done it, but this is like my first big breakthrough into, I guess, corporate world, if you will. And I created a flyer, which is just a sheet of paper, and on that sheet were four coupons at the bottom, and I disseminated them through the school system. So I'd land in the city, and I'd say, okay, let's go to the school systems, PTA, school board, da da da. We're here to help. And I made a stack of flyers, 10,000 flyers for each school. Then they pass it out to community. So what I did essentially is I checked all the boxes that they were trying to fix. Like number one was this has to be profitable. Okay, let's make a coupon. So even after giving money back, which we tripled, it was $3 back per coupon instead of $1. So we tripled the give back, and still on top of that, they were net positive even after the
Hmm.
discount. So there's like a meal for one, a kid's meal, two can dine, and then a family of four can eat. So I try to hit like every demographic to use the coupons with, then put a watermark for the school. And I made the schools compete against each other. I'm huge on school and education and kids and youth. How do we better the next generation? One of my core principles is make the world a better place so that our future generations can have a better platform to answer some of the questions that we haven't yet answered.
Yeah.
Very simple life mantras. So pouring into education, I was a youth group leader for 7 years. Still here in Nicaragua, I'm helping kids, buying soccer balls, taking out pizza parties, ice cream parties, the whole bit. Education is huge for me, and in the Philippines, we're building a daycare center at the top of a mountain. So I think the education of the youth is key to our future better generations and
Absolutely.
so doing that, I kind of hit all the boxes, and I created what they call the equally advantageous triangle, is what I coined. The equally advantageous triangle is something where all parties can win and feel like they're benefiting. School, needs funds. They just need it. So a business has funds, has money, but in order to get money, they need people and traffic. So people, school, business, are the three players to this equally advantageous triangle. And I had them all play in cohesion, and they all serve each other. For example, a person likes to feel altruistic to giving back, and the company created that pathway. the people want a product, or the company wants to create and establish a good relationship with the community. Well, they use a conduit of the school, because if you help something I love, then I want to more help you, so that became a nice altruistic piece. The business needs population and people to come in, so it knows that it can go through the school to find the population of people. So it became this, they all are self-serving, they serve each other, and they're relationally built in this beautiful what is it when something becomes it serves each other? I forget what it's called. It's not like a parasitic relationship, but it's the other kind of relationship where it's equally advantageous. I forget the term, but when it comes to me, I'll repeat it. Either way, it creates this cool opportunity for everyone to win. We started cutting checks instead of 1,000, they were like 17, 18,
Oh, wow.
$30,000. So we really instead of doing the $1,200, hey, cancer walk, which is still very important, very powerful. I've done those as well. This was, impacting school, and you immediately bypass so many issues, okay, marketing dollars. Okay, how do we get it to every household? Well, duh, a school district is in that city, it's every household, one family, one kid gives to 4 to 5. So you're multiplying your reach, 34,000 to some 68, 70,000 kids per district. Like, you multiply that by 4, you are dropping, and it's not just like a money mailer that drops in, which we still did to saturate the market. It was just money that went, here, like, give it to your parents. Then on top of that, we did the money mailers and door hangers. And what that did is every dollar that came in, we created a second fund, so that whoever won out of the schools, we divided that money up evenly amongst them by percentage of how much they brought in. So they were still overly incentivized, and the winning school by percentage of population, like school population to percentage, they got we fed the entire staff, and they had a whole Jersey Mike's day, and they got crazy. 11 days of madness. We broke the machine. Like, I was the only one competing against myself for months. Like, the stores were just packed out. They didn't know how to fill the people. Like, it was just so heavy. It was a carnival. Some people brought balloons, trumpets. Other people brought all these things. It was just an absolute massive machine that it really made me realize I enjoy pouring back into community. So I left that venture and said, I'm going to start my own thing, and I did the same thing in marketing. Decided to go into marketing for SMBs. Why? And this is where the SMB kind of story comes in. Sorry that took so long. In opening 190 stores, Jersey Mike's, I realized that there were a lot of opportunities for SMBs, because I got to talk to all the Chamber of Commerce, and I saw that these people didn't have good marketing or digital footprint. So I thought, I'm going to be the guy that does it,
Yeah.
So I started selling apps for my buddy, because he started Buildfire, which is an awesome company, largest mobile app producer in the US now. If you want to talk to them, fascinating story. He started building on a software called BizApps. BizApps was doing a great job. He was building church apps for people, and then out of nowhere, he said, hey, I'm going to try a partnership here. And BizApps was kind of like, I don't know, we don't want to work with you. So he's like, fine, I'll go create my own. So he created his own platform and then started doing mobile app development. And last quarter, what quarter are we in? 2 quarters ago, he bought them out after 10 years. So his biggest competitor, he literally just purchased, and they were the #1 in the country, so awesome story to him, oh, here are the Hawks attacking. Cool. So his story is really neat. I started doing mobile app sales for him. I white labeled his software and started going door to door to these SMBs and Chamber of Commerce. And people looked at me like I had a horn sticking straight out of my head. I was like, hey, I did more teaching what a mobile app was. Like, it's an icon. You click on it. They're like, what does that even mean?
Right.
I was like, oh, it's a future of how people are going to search for you. You live on their phone. You're going to garnish more attention because you can do push notifications and all these things. Why does that matter to me? Because it's great marketing dollars, very inexpensive. Like, you don't have to pay a cent per push. It's just, it's great. You can just send me a notification. I just don't get why, And I was like, okay, I'm in the wrong neighborhood. However, I was a very gritty guy. Like, I kept pushing. For example, during this time, I would wake up at 4 a.m. I'd go Uber until 9 a.m. LAX runs. in Los Angeles. 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. I would go hit the doors or be in an office that I rented for $500. No AC, no heater. It was literally a sweatshop during the summer, and it was it was freezing. I'd burn my toes on a little, thing underneath during the winter. Like, it was a very growing experience. I still remember, I still love that little office space. And I have a picture of it. I'll send you, which is so neat. And I have literally clothesline hangers for bills and stuff hanging on the side. It's wild what I did. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just figuring it out. In the evenings, 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. or midnight, I'd Uber, DoorDash, Postmates, do whatever I needed to do to make more income. Fridays and Saturdays, I'd Uber till 4 or 5 in the morning. I'd have water bottles, Gatorades, gum, mints, things that I needed to sell to people that were thirsty in Hollywood. Like, you're drunk, like you want something to sober you up, or there's a hot girl with you, so you want a mint or gum because your mouth smells like caca. Here you go, buddy. Mentos. I hooked you up. Don't forget me. And then there's Sundays, I'd go to church, and right after church, I'd go to the 99-cent store and buy all the sunscreens. Managers knew me, so they were like, Reef, I got your sunscreen here. And I'd fill up my backpack with these sunscreens that were $1, and I'd go to the beach and sell them for $10 a pop. I make $200 on a Sunday, walking up and down the beach sand, just no shirt on, hey, what's up? And if I got time, I'd go for a surf. That was my Sunday fun day. And then I'd start again the next week. So I was gritty. I was making things happen in Chamber of Commerce. I survived off Chamber of Commerce for a while there. I didn't have any startup capital, bootstrap the whole thing. I would go to Chamber of Commerce. I'd pay for the lunch and learns as $20 or whatever, $10. And I would wait till everybody left, and I would pack home the extra leftovers or the 4 or 5 boxes of food. And that's what I would eat for the next couple of days, just
That's puts a new meaning into you were hungry, literally. In business and health and life.
I can't tell you how many times I opened up a questionable box and was sniffing it and going, should I, if I heat it up hot enough, it'll kill anything, microwave 10 minutes, it came out like a biscuit, I'd be jerky eating. And sometimes I would get, those habits, even this is a sidebar, those habits even now kind of hurt me because I'll sometimes overeat if something's really good because I'm, so used to that feast or famine mentality from, childhood to even then, having if the brisket was available, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm gonna fill up on brisket. I'd overeat brisket because they'd give me 4 boxes of brisket and I didn't want it to go bad. So then I would, pretty much not have to eat for a day or two because I was just so full of brisket, so good. Some of the greatest moments. So in moving around and selling mobile apps, I realized one of the most important things that you can do is ask questions to the people that you're helping. And they asked me questions like, hey, Reef, I don't need a mobile app, but I need a website. Do you know who can make me a website? About 7 or 9 people asked me the same question, and I was like, I don't do that. I don't do that. Finally, I said, hey, if I build you a website for free, would you buy a mobile app? You have blinders sometimes. Here's another principle I learned. Be cautious of your biases, as you're going through business. Oftentimes we'll have these blinders, and we'll think to ourselves in these blinders, here I go, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it this way, not recognizing there may be other ways. So keep your eyes open to all paths, don't just get stuck.
Be adaptable.
Adaptable, totally. And it's kind of a hard nuance, because they say don't have shiny object syndrome, but also, stick to one path. But also, how do you determine if that's the right path or not? So the nuances are there. I would say a good path is usually a path that is profitable. Have it measured towards your KPIs. If you're making the impact that you're trying to, where your metric is of success, then you're down the right path. If you're not doing that and you're not sustainable, then chances are you need to become a little bit more observant of what am I missing? What do I have to tweak in order to make sure that this survives? Because money is the bloodline of any business, so that was a big rule for me and a big lesson of adaptability and just being malleable, So in that, I realized websites were it. That was going to bring me revenue. That got people going. But in the blinder space, I was like, I'm going to sell you a mobile app, So I created 10 mobile apps that no one ever opened, So I was doing twice the work for half the money, essentially, and just trying to force feed people mobile apps. And I said one day, if I build you a website, is that what you want? How much are you willing to pay for a website? X amount.
Sick. So the pivot happened. I was like, I need to build websites, not mobile apps. By listening to my clientele was just enough to start figuring out what they needed. And and there's like one, I have another pivot, which was a We Assist, but the first one was Raise Marketing. And in that Raise Marketing, I still remember as I built websites, you still have nuances. Once you figure out what your people want, you have to figure out how to deliver it, how to deploy it, what's the price point. I remember I went to a Chamber of Commerce luncheon and I thought I crushed it. I thought everyone was laughing, and I was like, I knew these guys from Jersey Mike's. Everyone was like really accepting of me. They were really excited that I started my own business. Everyone was like patting me on the back. Yeah, go buddy, And then I finished my thing and I go, hey, okay, everyone, a 5-page website, it's $3,000, and a simple 3-page website is $1,500, who wants one, and cricket. It almost looks like I threw cold water on everybody. Like, what? Like they didn't even, you're charging us now? Like the money, like
I thought you were my friend.
Yeah, I have a big one on that. Like, if you're my friend, you'll pay full price. You want to see me win, That's my big, I never ask for discounts for my buddies. I'm always like, I'll pay you full price. I love you. Like, you'll buy mine at full price because we care enough about each other to let revenue flow between us. We let money flow. That doesn't bother us.
I'm all about the friend thing on that. Yes, definitely charge.
Yeah, friends will pay you full price. Your right friends. How is it that your friends or your best friends or your family are like, hey, give it to me for free, but a perfect stranger will say, charge me full price? Who's a better friend? I'd say the stranger because they want to like support my future. So yeah, I ended up. I remember in that moment looking down at the crowd and thinking, I'm gonna lose everybody right now. So I quickly grabbed a piece of paper that I had, my notepad and a pen, and I flipped the page and said, the first 10 people that write their name, phone number, and email on this sheet, I will build you a free website with $100 a month hosting fee for a year. Boom. 17 people came and signed. I called back everybody on that 17-person list and told them they were one of 10. And I built 17 websites for free and said, hey, you're number 7. Hey, you're number 8. 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 Yep. I don't even know how many number 8s there were, Hey, you're number 9. Hey, you're number 10. Finally finished it off and tapered it. And some of them sent me referrals like, hey, can you do my friends too? I was like, okay, fine. I'll do it. I don't, but I'll hook you up. And that's essentially how I created my first like $2,000 in MRR, monthly recurring revenue, And I was like, oof, food, like lifeline here, I was like, breathability, So I that was my first pivot.
You're listening to Small Business Pivots, a podcast created for small business owners who are ready to take their business to the next level. Don't forget to like, follow, and share this podcast. For more small business advice, subscribe to my YouTube channel at Business Ownership Simplified. Let's get back to our guest.
Fast forward a couple of years, and the second pivot was my marketing agency to the hiring firm that I have now, or the sourcing firm. And that was a very interesting experience. I did a bunch. I fought through creating a marketing company, which was really hard to scale. I got it to like 479 ARR, 479,000 annual recurring revenue. I thought, oof, I'm doing it, and realized that it was just not growing the way I wanted. I met a guy in a McDonald's drive-through that was driving a Lambo. My buddy had just bought a McLaren, and I was in my Prius. 6'2" Uruguayan. I'm huge, this tall guy, like in a Prius. And I get out, and this young Asian dude, 20 years old, right, in a Lamborghini, red top off, like he's just crushing it. I think it was a Huracan, if I'm not mistaken. And I get out of my car, I park it, and I'm in the drive-through, and I walk over to him, and I'm like, hey man, and he's like, hey, what do you want? His name is Vince Wang, cool dude. I was like, dude, what is this? And he had his car and then like 2 Porsche Cayennes behind him, I think, right? And he's like, these 2 Porsche Cayennes. I'm like, yeah, these guys yours? Like, yeah, these are my company cars. I was like, what do you do? You know? And he's like, e-commerce. Here I am, 27, like burning my coconut, on fire, trying to get this all figured out. And here's this dude, like 20, doing e-com and crushing it. And I'm like, I need to know more about you. I was like, can we exchange information? I'd love to chat with you. So I kept communication with him. A few months later, he put on a mastermind, and I think it was like $3 or $8 a ticket. I forget what it was, but I couldn't afford it either way. I'm a solopreneur at this point. I have a buddy of mine who's doing websites with us. That's doing 50% for the websites, for each website. And I'm like, bro, this is like, how am I going to do this? Like, I would like to go to this event. So I hit him up, and first thing, value proposition. A lot of entrepreneurs talk about this, but be creative. How can you be a value to somebody, And I asked them, hey man, I know you have an event coming on. How can I serve you? How can I help? What can I do? I'd love to help you out. And he's like, well, funny you ask, my video team just canceled yesterday. And I need videographers. You have a marketing agency, right? Of course I do,
Yes,
Like,
absolutely.
yes, I do. And he's like, well, can you shoot my video for my event? I was like, yes, I can, How many people do you need? Pen out, like, what's the address? What's the time? He's like, about 3 people, I think I should be fine. How many do you recommend? I said, yeah, about 3 is good, Where's it at? Hollywood Hills. Okay, yeah, time, date, great. I'll get everything going for you. And I'm like, awesome. And yeah, and he's like, I'll let you stay at the mansion, I was like, great, we'll shoot it for free for sure, whatever you want, So Hollywood Hills mansion, they have 20 of the most prolific names in ecom show up, and from all around the world, China, Australia, Europe, like they have all these guys, they pulled together into a house to do this mastermind at 3 to 8K. And I was like, holy cow, look at this thing, like this is what's happening here. So I start to meet all these people. They think I have this agency. I went on Upwork and hired 3 videographers for $500 for the weekend, bought them t-shirts that had my company name on them, asked them be my employees for the weekend. And they were like, sure, I'll send you photos of this whole thing. Right. I did this, they're like, sure, we have whatever. And I was like, but you have to say you're my employees. Cool. Yeah, okay, dude, relax. I was like, hey, cool, So got all that set up, hung out the 3 days. I met names like Sean Kelly, good buddy of mine now, Vince Wang, Ben Manal, Beast of Ecom. Like, these guys are wildly successful now, they're crushing it. And Ben Malal was cool, but there's a gentleman there that changed my life, and Vance was his name. And he essentially taught me what marketing was all, or what outsourcing was all about. What he would do is that he had a product, he would do like, let's say this battery bank, he was like, oh, this battery bank is cool, I really like it. He'd put $50,000 of ad spend behind it in a 14-day period. And if it had a ROAS, return of ad spend, of 1.25% or more on a quick pop-up ad, then he would put a team of 5 to 7 outsourced professionals and let them run it. He had 17 stores doing between $1 million to $3.5 million. I was like, wow, you have a machine. Like, he's like, my biggest problem is I can't test product fast enough. Like, what a great champagne problem to have, that you, like, just the time of waiting to get a product to test it is like annoyance, I was like, dude, teach me. So I took him, he's from the UK. I took him out to dinner before I went back to his wife, lunch, and I just picked his brain. Like, I literally took every note down. He's like, you can do it, figure it out. So I started sourcing because I was struggling so hard in scaling this business. It got to a point where if I had a client, I would lose a client and I would lose an employee because, there's 1-for-1 essentially. And I was like, I just can't keep it afloat. What the heck? So I started sourcing. That's where my outsourcing began, the company that I have now. It took me 9 tries to find the right player, and at that point, I realized, I even said to myself one day as I was sitting at the computer, I remember at this point I had a WeWork, which I was super excited for. It was like one of those goals as an entrepreneur. I was like, I'm going to get a WeWork. Here I am in a WeWork. So I got a WeWork office that I'd show up to every day. The person that helped me out at the time, they worked, regular office hours, 9 to 5, fast. They were in, they were out. They weren't there. I was there 6 a.m., whatever, early, or I'd come in like, a little bit later, but I stayed up the last night till midnight. I'd be there until first one in, last one out, like, as every day. Because because I wanted to grow this thing, nothing like your own baby, nothing like your own. So at that point, like I remember saying to myself in the office, like, this is a business. Like, this is so hard to do, to find a good player. Like, man. And I just kept going, but I remember writing it down and jotting in my notes, like my journal of ideas, going like sourcing for people, outsource professionals, just didn't think of anything of it. So I digress. I keep going through life. And it takes me 9 months to find my first one. And oh man, what a journey. Like, first three didn't speak a word of English really, but I was like $150 a month salary. And I was like, this is great. This is a super hack. I see why this is so good. Well, at $150, you learn something in outsourcing, and I love giving away free data and knowledge. There's like province, and then there's main, like city, so the province, you're going to get far less expensive salaries, but the educational base might be a little different. And then in the main city, you're probably going to get higher salaries, but they're going to be more versed, now that's a little bit more disseminated. People can be realizing, go back to their province and work and make good money, and you can have like an in-between salary, really good. So that's kind of what we focus on when we're sourcing or hiring for people. We make sure I have 12 people on the ground in the country. They know where to source from, what cities, what towns, what the going salaries are, etc. And we negotiate that on behalf of clients. But at the time, I didn't know what I was doing. I was like, oh, this is magic. Like, oh, I found the secret hack, And come like a week, 2 weeks later, I was like, hey, where's any of the work? Oh, sir, I don't know. Like, it was like always an excuse. I was like, oh, shoots. So then it was like 4, 5, and 6. I hired my 6th VA, taught me a great lesson. Outsource professional. I had given them the keys to everything, all the passwords, and they locked me out and they held me ransom one day.
Oh,
I showed up to the office, was like, hey, I can't get into anything. What happened? Our passwords, let's get into it. And he's like, the only password I didn't give him was the bank account. And he was like, oh, sir, I know what happened. I can help you get it all back, but it'll cost this much. I was like, you're holding me ransom. Without saying anything, I knew what was happening, And I was like, oh, okay, you know how to get in? And he's like, yeah. And emotional intelligence is so important. Don't blow up ever, I was like, oh, cool. So you can do it. Yeah, it'll be this much. Oh, great, man. I'm so lucky to have you. Here you go, pay, and then passwords all back, change all the passwords, everything, dropped him, and then learn LastPass, which is a free givey here. Always have a password locker, huge principle to online work. Password lockers are key to success. Even if it's your mom. Why? Because it's not about them maybe taking advantage of you, but what they may not know that they have on their computer. You never know if your parent clicks on something and you get malware. You never know if like a cousin or uncle is like watching something perverse online that they shouldn't be, and they allow some sort of, Trojan into their computer, and next thing you know, you're like, what happened? Where's all my stuff? And it wasn't even them. It was a backdoor of a backdoor to somebody that knows you, that they got into your stuff. So cybersecurity is huge. LastPass, password locker, make sure you give that out and have people,
LastPass on what?
LastPass.com. Yeah, I'll send you the link after this if you'd like here. I'll have Kate go over this, my executive sales assistant. I have an admin assistant and executive sales assistant. So once my executive assistant handles all the company internals, and then my executive sales assistant, she handles all my outgoing sales, communication with friends, my CRM, partnerships, relationships, friendships, everything, sends out contract, invoicing, the whole bit. So I have 2 hands that really help me, and they manage a group of people under them, which is really a great way to operate. Multiplies your hand ability, 2 hands to 6 hands to 8 hands, etc. 16 hands, like a horse is tall. That was a bad dad joke, a horse joke. All right, that'll be the last one, I promise. Maybe not. So I LastPass is a huge learn, and realize that that's one of the only ways to operate. So expensive lesson at the time, inexpensive lesson long term, is probably the only time that I've ever felt rage to the point where Jason Bourne or, Taken, like I wanted to come to your house and kill you, like I was going to get a plane, like change my name, get a new passport, like show up, black gloves and take them down, the only time I've ever felt that feeling in my life, but it was so intense. Didn't go through with it, obviously. Or did I? Dun, dun, dun. Right. There's a new movie set,
I think we all have one of those moments, and most of us are afraid to share them because we're still not over it yet.
Yeah. Someone's like, you're gonna think I'm a psychopath. Like, I'm pretty sure we've all had that moment, if you can't accept that you're human, that you've been in a car and thought to yourself, beep, 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 I could kill you right now, then you're not human, Like, I think we've all had that moment of like, I could tear you apart. We don't act on it because we're civilized humans, in a civilization. But there are moments where like, I could end you right now, why did you honk, my girlfriend and I are reading a book on frameworks, 300 plus mental frameworks and mind, models of mind that we're reading. And one of the examples is like the biases that you carry, So when you're speeding through the traffic because you need to get somewhere, you're like, it's cool, But the moment it cuts you off on the highway, you're like, how dare you endanger my life and the life of my loved ones here? You're crazy. This is my people, but when you do it, it's like, well, I've just got to get to something on time. So
don't mind me. Don't mind me.
When you're like 90 and a 45, and they're like, what's happening here? So that bias is kind of fascinating, how.
What's the name of that book? Do you remember? Or do you recall?
Yeah, let me get it for you. I'll send it to you right after. I know that she sent it here.
We'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, it's a great book. Her and I, what we're doing is we're reading the book and then we go back and forth and test each other. So we test each other on what the last section was, and we take our own notes. So we're both taking notes, and we're kind of trying to stump the other person, but help them learn at the same time. Like, and it's cool to see what your perspective is in comparison to another person's, or how they interpreted the data, and then what their take on it is. Sometimes it's fascinating to see how someone else's mind will pick something that you didn't, but it can have such a long-lasting impression on you because you go, what a great way of framing that I hadn't thought about. So it's great to expand that.
I love that advice, because in one of our recent episodes, so I have a coach's corner at the end of these podcasts. So like, coming from a coach, here's an action item you can take. And the action item I suggested was take action. Like, you read the book or you listen to the podcast. Now take something from that and go do it. Quit learning. Go do it.
1000%. What is it? The thinker, he was there long enough so they can statue him, but the doer they could never find. So it's just an empty seat, It's like, I love that. I would love one day to have a marble chair made in my house that's the doer, and just have like a piece of like undone rock, like in footprints walking out. Because the doer's just doing, the thinker's just over, like, you're sitting on the sofa. One of my favorite things to piggyback off what you're saying is, if you're at least trying and operating, be happy with yourself, because you're doing laps around the guy that's sitting on the sofa, thinking about one day getting up and doing the thing that you're doing right now, So in your current moment and state of being, you're probably doing what someone else is thinking to do. So keep it up. Keep it up, keep it up, keep it up. You're testing, keep testing.
Well, let me backtrack a little bit, because you've offered a lot of good pivots and how you kept plowing through. But I know so many small business owners where they feel like they're just about to walk off the cliff. I mean, they're just at that point. In fact, I have one right now that I guess he's trying to accept what he has. So in other words, he's giving in, like saying, this will never change. So I guess I just have to deal with this. I have to live with this. This is the way my business is always going to be. How did you get past that? Or did you just not even think that way?
I think that you do think that way, I would say a good quote that comes to mind is same, but different. Same, but different. You are not experiencing anything that is different from what anybody else has experienced or is experiencing, you know? So the same, but different is just different models and different size, different business, different person, different approach, but same, almost same, you know? So very similar, but different. And I mean that in the sense that I still have it today, that feeling of, this just is the way it is. Like, what am I, things that you have to kind of accept. I talk to my other buddies. I think a good thing to do is have a framework of, when I don't know something, go talk to a different person, and explore it. And I'll break down my framework here in a moment for you. But when you talk to other people, you're going to see that they have these huge problems, very similar to yours: finance, people problems, like operational problems, what are the 3 Ps, like people, process, pricing, like what is it that you're same, but different. Someone else is having that same issue. So the question is no longer just accepting. That's a mental framework. You're saying I'm accepting, you're throwing your hands up, and that'll be really indicative of other areas in your life. You then take a step back and look at other areas of your life, and where am I giving into other areas of my life and just allowing my reality to be my reality and act as if I don't have any autonomy or choice in it, you know? Look at that as an example and you'll see, I actually do this in different areas of my life. That'll be very reflective. And then you can take actionable steps on it. There's plenty of times where I've thought to myself, this just is the way it is. And in the business, like when I couldn't get past the scaling without, losing a player, what did I find out? Outsourcing. But because I took the action steps moving forward and asking questions and being inquisitive, which is a huge principle of mine, be inquisitive, you'll find different people or ways or other people are doing it. Someone else is doing it on the planet. How are they doing it? Find those people, So that's kind of my framework kind of goes like this. I take in a piece of data and a piece of data, you have to realize that is then transmuted or it's processed through a frame that you have from your upbringing. And everyone has a bunch of upbringings. I call these frames like your cake of life, every level has a different flavor of frosting. Some are sweet, some are bitter, some are tart. Some people have more tart, some people have sweeter, but these frosting layers are just what your life has been. And since you cut through that cake, you can see kind of almost like a geode, right? Or looking at sand or ground or dirt, you can see the different veins of your reality, Cool. Those veins of your reality or will create your perspective. So now we take in a piece and we have to then realize that the thing that we're hearing is not what it is, but rather how we're interpreting it. So that framework that we're putting it through or that lens is hyper important. How to break down that lens. When you have a thought coming into you, you can ask yourself, is this serving me or not serving me? Litmus test everything. A, B, yes, no, real quick. Get it through like the pipeline, out the back, So is this serving me? Yes or no? Okay, cool. If it is, on you, right? If it isn't, you know what to do with it, So now if it is serving you, you get to ask yourself, is this an assumption or is this a fact? Okay, assumption. What do I need to do to recreate an assumption or destroy an assumption? Ask the right questions, clarity questions. And this will always break down to being inquisitive, because when you're inquisitive in a state of question asking, you're no longer in the dread of self or that self remorse or what was me, you're now in a frame or sense of mind of asking questions, being curious like a child again. How excited are you when you're like with your first girlfriend, your first woman, and you're like, ooh, what's going on here, or driving your first car at high speed. Oh my gosh, can I handle this turn? These moments are these moments of question that light up our brain. We love that. So asking yourself questions of, is this an assumption? Okay, like what questions must I ask myself, or who do I have to ask questions? Is this an assumption? Example, someone says something like, Reef, you're such a this, hey, were you trying to hurt me there? What was your goal there? Oh, I was just trying to really help you get to this next, so your way of trying to help me was by phrasing it this way. I'm the one that took it personally. They were trying to help. They just don't have a better way of forming that, So I get to step out of myself and out of my ego. Now, second litmus test, let's say it's a fact. Okay, cool. What can I control? What can't I control? Right? On the things that I can control, write down a to-do list. Like, okay, step 1, step 2, step 3. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time, not a giant elephant. You swallow the thing, you're gonna have a bad time. Let me tell you. It's like, what's that gender conversation now? Like, try to milk a cow and try to milk a bull, see what happens, it's gonna be real weird for you.
It's gonna be a different experience, I promise.
Yeah. Almost similar outcome, like milk is creamy, but not the same kind you want to drink. So similarly on elephant, start to write down a list, to-do list. Again, your brain is now in actionable mode instead of dread mode, and then break down each one of those into smaller things to do. Then put them on a calendar, on a timeline. Great. There's 2 steps here to the things that you can't control, right? Okay, I can't control this. I either need to release this because that's nothing that I have over my control, right? Someone else is doing, someone else is attacking, whatever, what have you. Someone else is doing, not my control. What I don't know in either one of the categories, let's say, for example, I made my list and I hit a spot where I don't know this, or in the out of control, I don't know what to do here. Wonderful. 3 steps, simple. What do I know about this? Where can I research this? Google, internet, YouTube, so on and so forth. Can I figure this out myself? Who do I know that I can call that can resolve this or figure it out? Cool. Now you write those 3 little notes next to it. And now you have actionable steps for every little thing to walk yourself backwards off the cliff. And in this whole framework of me even repeating it and saying it out loud, if you're practicing this mentally, you're no longer thinking about the emotion that the first initial thought would create, that creates a chemical reaction that then puts us into a bind or tightens our chest and gives us anxiety. But rather now you are in a state of flow and you are creating a whole outline of what to do to circumvent that whole reaction. Do this enough times and it just happens naturally. And you find yourself being blissfully walking through life because you realize there's nothing you can't handle or can't undo or can't work out backwards, because it's all just something that needs to be figured out. And either someone else has figured it out. And if you're in a position where you're figuring out something that no one else has figured out, what a cool adventure, because you're a pioneer, and what a fucking great thing to do as a human, because being pioneers is something that we've always done, you know. Lewis and Clark, yeah, the Santa Maria, the Pinta, whatever, coming across, you know, like what a cool place to be. So either way, you're winning in that regard.
Yeah, that's really cool. Or you can just go apply somewhere at a hardware store and do the same thing every day. I mean, which is more exciting, right?
You choose, man. You choose your poison, you know. And I try to, and this is maybe a conversation for a later time, but I try to end my life in 2018 because I had one of those breakouts where I lost 80% of my revenue, had to fire a bunch of people. You know, a girlfriend was breaking up, and I just sat there with the pills, handful of pills, and thought, I'm just going to end it. Thank goodness and God and the universe for, you know, suicide hotline. Stayed on the line with them until 5 a.m. When I called my mom, she drove from LA to San Diego, was there for me. And it's crazy how powerful the brain is. But I went back to LA and I worked at a 24-hour fitness. Rodney, if you're watching this, right, was a GM there. And I had like a 4-hour interview with him. And he was like, man, you have your own company. Like, why are you here? And I was like, can I tell you a story? And I went through this whole thing. He knew everything that had happened and he still hired me. And he said I was his favorite employee of all time, you know. Every day, showed up to work on time. I had my stuff clean. I was good. I was pressed. I showed up. I had to walk in, put the weights away, clean up everything, bathrooms, you know, stalls, like wipe down, like spray, hands, like doors, knobs, and then sit down and for 50 minutes do sales calls. Every hour on the hour, 10 minutes, walk around, lift weights, put them back. Like, and he was like, why do you do everything every day so well? And I was like, simple, man. And this is a gift, you know. I don't have to write anything. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to think about anything. I walk in and my entire day is outlined for me, like step by step. I have nothing. My brain has nothing to do except for be on autopilot. You can't do that. There's no way. If you can't perform this at the highest level, then what kind of human being are you? Most people try to find ways to undo the function that is their reality, rather than just figuring out, how can I be the best at my fucking reality? You know, like, how can I be the very best at my reality, even if it is putting weights away? What if I was a best weight putter awayer than anybody else, right? Like, what would that look like? And people were, I remember a manager came up to me, not the general manager, but he was like, hey, you gotta, you know, slow down. Other people are talking about you, you know, you're making them look bad, you know? And I remember he took me through a walkthrough of like cleaning. And he was like, yeah, you can just look at it. And if it looks clean, then you're good, you know, just do it the next pass, and so on and so forth, and walk through, you know? And I thought, this seemed a little odd that he was just kind of like very lackadaisical. I saw trash on the floor and I thought, man, if I was an owner, I probably wouldn't like this. So I asked the GM to do the same walkthrough, like, hey, what are your expectations for a walkthrough? And he went through and meticulously looked at corners, wiped things down. He's like, even if it looks clean, I give it a wipe down, because you never know in the next hour how dirty it could get. It's like, different points of view, you know? So I followed his model. I'm not going to follow the other guy's model, follow the winner's model. You know, this guy's at the top, that you're eating chum, bud. You know, you're doing it. You know, you are the apex predator. You're out there killing seals. You know, so I was like, I want to be like you, not this. So I followed that process. Be the best at what you do wherever you're at, and have fun with it. You know, like make it your own little mental game. How can I be 1% better today than the last day? What could I figure out? And you know, the best compliments when somebody offers you a position like a manager, and you're like, hey, this isn't my scene, you know, but I'll be the best, you know, player on your bus, you know. From Good to Great by Jim Collins. Right players on the bus, wrong players off the bus. You know, I'll be the best player on your bus in this role to make sure that that's taken care of for you. You know, but please don't expect this from me, because I don't want to go there. You know, but I respect, and I'm here for your journey, and I want to make sure I'm the best one in the far right back seat as possible for you. Like, you won't find a better of that. You know,
you just pointed out one of the top things that I notice with small business owners that are struggling, and that is they don't have a plan. They don't have the steps. They don't have the action items. And so they're just, their mind is all disorganized, chaotic, and they're just trying to put out problems. And sometimes they create their own problems just when they don't have problems, just to have something to do and piddle and, work 14 hours a day. But having that plan is so important. Like you said, you can have a job if that fits you better, but do it to your best ability or you'll still be miserable,
Can I share something with you? I'll share here here's my recommendation for your people, right? It's crazy. Like here it costs me what, 600 pesos? Cardstock, right? It's a really nice cardstock paper. Find yourself a series of pens that you really like, and then have the ability to write your brain out from time to time. Website, like items, here's some thoughts and observations. List to-dos, like these things kind of come up and you can set your own portfolio off to the side of your brain. So you take it off of your head and now you at least have somewhat of a reference point of a game plan instead of just being like, overwhelmed with a game plan. Sometimes the back of a napkin is the best game plan. How many people have started crazy companies from just writing down 5 things like to-do list, A, B, C, right? Like it's not rocket science. You don't have to sit down with a project manager yet and like itemize everything and put to-dos and who's next, who's what. Just start with a simple outline and then go from there. And I think people have lost the art or the importance of just a simple, hey, item A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
What do you do in the morning? Checklist: pee, brush teeth, brush hair, shower, out the door. Like what is whether you believe it or not, you've created these checklists in your head already. Like, why not write them down, take the extra step and see what happens, especially as it comes fresh to mind and you're in a state of flow. Take a moment, tell the next person, hey, give me a second. I need to write for 10 minutes, 5 minutes. Try it out. What's the worst that can happen?
I would say your cheapest resources for your biggest success is pen and paper, not a device. Pen and paper. Just do brain dumps, write it down, and so you can refer back to it. In fact, Richard Branson's always talking about that. He never goes into a meeting without a notepad. In fact, he always says that my greatest ideas was flipping back through my notepads. So like if I think of something, it may not be relevant today, but 5 years from now might be the greatest idea ever. So yeah, that's important. I love that. We're out of time, believe it or not.
All right. Okay. I haven't finished the second pivot, but I'm cool to stop here, whatever
let's do another show because we've got so many here that I get to dissect and share with everybody. You've been a wonderful person to learn from. You've shared so much. Any last words? I know you've shared so much, but any last, this is the one thing I would suggest every small business owner do, especially when they're in that moment of, I've got all these pills in front of me, I'm fixing to take my life. Because I know small business owners feel like they're on an island by themselves, even if they're married. Their spouse still doesn't get it, their girlfriend, their partner, whoever it is, they're not in those shoes. So what is something that you could tell, especially being through your experience?
Okay, yeah, I'd say number one, be responsible for all your reality. Be aware that you are responsible for every little outcome that happens in your life. The choice, your partner, for example, that person you chose, you made that decision. So make the best of it, figure it out, or move on. You get to choose, right? But the decisions are yours. Your life is a culmination of the decisions and choices that you make. Take major responsibility over your actions. I think it's okay to understand that you're walking a path that's different from others. If you feel lonely, you're supposed to feel lonely because you're different from the pack. That's what the 1% is, Sorry to put it out there, but you're not the 99%. If you want to be part of the 1%, the 1% of the 1%, because they've learned to deal with not just the financial burden, but also the mental burden, the emotional burden, the spiritual burdens, the burdens that other people don't want to. So they stay in the softness blanket of the 99 because it's so much easier to be in misery loves company, like the bucket and the crab mentality, that it's okay to be in that bucket. But if you want to be out of that bucket, you got to realize you're going to lose a ligament maybe pulling up there. And that's okay. Because when you get up there, chances are they'll have situations for people with one less ligament, because the people that got up there all chose to lose a ligament. Like we all chose to be up there.
We're all wounded.
Correct, in one way or another, and working through that. So I think that's a big one. Being okay with being misunderstood and recognizing that the loneliness is part of the journey. And being in that lonely state, the best thing to do is join other people in that community and that culture. We've never been more connected than now, across the universe. So I think being okay with being misunderstood and acknowledging that you are a different person and that loneliness is kind of part of that, And the third one is create principles for yourself. I think the most important thing is that you should create and be observant that your brain is the most powerful entity in the known universe. You are essentially, there's no other organism or organ in the body that named itself. The liver wasn't like, I'm a liver. Stomach wasn't like, I'm a stomach. The brain literally said, I am brain. It labeled itself. No other organism in the universe that we know of has done that. A very powerful thing. Acknowledge that you have an incredible piece of equipment here in your mind and protect it at all costs. The drinking, the smoking, whatever you have to do, the helmet, wear it. Realize that this is a very important organism and write down what it comes up with principles or list of principles. Some of my most important principles are make the world a better place so that future generations can have a platform to better answer some of the questions that we haven't yet answered. Another principle of mine is to feed as many people around the world as humanly possible through equally advantageous opportunity. And my last guiding North Star to things is very simple. How are my inputs today impacting next 2, 5, or 10 generations? I find that the more that I align with these principles that are universal in my idea or my mindset, the more I have people come and want to help me or work with me, or the more people I can help and serve, because they're people that also align with that. And money comes from that because I'm well centered and well geared in what I'm doing. Either employee, how is my interaction with this employee going to be, in fact, impact next 2, 5, or 10 generations? Maybe it isn't money that you need to pay that employee. Maybe it's community. Maybe instead of being so self-absorbed, you're just saying, hey, let me pour some extra time with you. Let me mentor you. Let's learn from each other. Let's do something together. What do you see in the business that we could do better? Hey, what books are you reading? Here's the last book I read. You should check it out too. Hey, I don't care, whatever. Okay, then maybe I have the wrong player in the seat. Maybe I should find someone that'd be excited to take over my small mom and pop shop or learn more about it. Maybe they want to do something. Maybe they can have a percentage of a profit share. And in doing so, I'm creating equally advantageous opportunities for growth. Be creative, think outside the box. Don't get stuck in your own head. I think those are probably the 3 that I would recommend.
Beautiful. I appreciate all the impact you're doing around the world. What is a great way that you enjoy people contacting you?
Any way you want, at Reef Colman for everything. Reef, like the coral reef, Colman, like the camping gear without the E.
Yeah.
You can find me at that handle on everything: YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, Truth Network, right? Whatever, all of them. Anytime something, a platform comes out, I jump in there and I grab that name, Yeah, feel free to reach out to me. I love talking and conversing with people. I'm excited to do the next one with you.
Very cool. So listeners, be open and aware for part 2. And
Yes.
Reef, we'll talk to you soon. Thank you again so much.
Looking forward to it. Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing.
Welcome to the recap and the Coach's Corner, where I give free, actionable business coaching advice so that you can take some action items between this episode and the next, implement them into your business, and see incremental progress in your business over a period of time. Each month or each episode that I come to the recap in the Coach's Corner, I have a hard time trying to figure out what was that one big thing. And then I start thinking of all the clients that we serve, all the business owners that are out there, and kind of what is that commonality of problems that many of them are facing. And a lot of times what Reef talked about today was limited mindset, limited mind beliefs. In other words, I mentioned a business owner that says, until I find this, I can't move forward. I'm just going to have to accept this is the type of business I'm always going to have. Well, guess what? All of us have gone through that. All of us have gone through challenges. But I love Reef's response was, okay, open up Pandora's box. Go to YouTube. Go find a book. Go find an Audible addressing that problem. Which this is a segue into the Coach's Corner. It's kind of a combo. In fact, I'm giving you 2 action items this month. You'll be that much further ahead before our next episode. You'll also be that much further ahead than other business owners because you're actually taking action. Switching into Coach's Corner, your first action item is, what is that one problem that you just can't seem to get over the hump? You can't find a solution for. Your action item is to reach out to someone preferably someone you don't know, maybe a business owner that's accessible, and just say, hey, you don't know me, but I'm on an island by myself. I'm a small business owner, and I've got this challenge. I was wondering what your thoughts would be about it. Have you ever run across this? What were some things that you did? I'm here to learn. I promise you, most business owners would be flattered, honored, and humbled that you would even pick them out of the millions of business owners on this planet to ask for their advice. That could be on LinkedIn. That could be a phone call. That could be set up a connection meeting. That could be over coffee. The sky's the limit. But reach out. That's your one action item, is to reach out to someone or 2 or 3 people and get multiple responses, and then see if any of those fit. For one, you'll see that everybody has the same problem, but like Reef mentioned, they're different. They're on a different scale, but it's the same similar problem. Your second action item is to write things down. Don't put them in a device. Reef and I talked about this. I've studied a lot of neuroscience. I talk about it all the time. A, you'll remember things better. B, it's more freeing. C, it'll be right in front of your face at all times. I encourage you, as an action item, is to get a 5.5 by 8.5 notepad or something. It doesn't have to be a big binder, just something that you can write on. Put one in your car, put one on your desk, put one in the kitchen, wherever your common meeting places are throughout the day, in the evening, even at home. I have one in my car. If I'm at a stoplight and I'm like, oh, I need to go to the dry cleaners, I write it down. Because as we're trying to remember everything, our mind gets muddied, if you will. So just doing kind of a brain dump. As you think of things you need to do, you think of great ideas like Richard Branson does, write them down and then revisit those. It will keep your mind open. It'll keep it to where you can be adaptable. It can keep it to where if you're wondering what I need to be working on next, now I've got a plethora of things that I've written down, and I just go through the list and say which of these are a priority. So your action item is to start writing things down. Again, storing them on a device doesn't work, I promise you, as effectively as writing them down. Write down the top 3 things. This is especially helpful for those that do not have a plan at all. At least start documenting what you need to do in your business and life to be more successful. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode with Reef. I look forward to our next episode. You won't want to miss it. So make sure that you follow, like, and share so you don't miss an episode. We'll see you next time.